The following is produced by 5 Star Productions USA, which is solely responsible for its editorial content.
They may sneak up on you, but those few extra pounds can add up to trouble: obesity. Staying overweight can be hazardous to your health. In the war on cancer, we may have developed the bomb. It's a case of the missing mineral, magnesium. Are you getting enough of it in your diet? They're in the house and in every breath you breathe. Airborne irritants. How can you get them before they get you? Join us as we get right to the heart of matters affecting your life on Today's Health.
You've heard all the excuses. Just one more bite. Oh, it's only another 10 pounds. I'll lose it after the holidays. We've gotten so used to yo-yo dieting that we have forgotten there is a serious medical condition associated with being fat. Hello, I'm Kathleen Sullivan, and this is Today's Health. Obesity. It's a major factor contributing to strokes, heart attacks, arthritis, and other complications. Yet it's been called the most preventable of all diseases.
Prejudice is a social cancer that can undermine any society. And today in America, discrimination isn't restricted to just race, religion, and gender. Excess weight can also be another reason for discrimination. Obesity has long been perceived to be one person's self-control problem at mealtime, but it's not. It's a medical disease, and the reason someone becomes overweight can be related to many different biological, genetic, social, ethnic, and emotional factors.
People become obese for a very simplistic reason. They take in more calories than they end up burning off through physical activity or through their metabolism, and the extra calorie intake that they have is stored in the form of fat.
Approximately 58 million people in the United States, or about 1/3 of all adults, are currently estimated to be overweight. Clinical studies have shown that people diagnosed as obese can be at greater risk for cardiovascular disease, high cholesterol levels, hypertension, gallbladder disease, osteoarthritis, musculoskeletal problems, diabetes, and even some forms of cancer.
Body mass index is a figure that was designed to try to minimize the problem that exists in height-weight tables for people with large frame size or large lean body mass. Most people consider 27.8 for males and 27.3 for females to be a cutoff.
To calculate your body mass index, you divide your weight in kilograms by the square of your height in meters, or multiply your weight in pounds by 700, divide by your height in inches once, and then divide by your height in inches again.
People with a body mass index of 19 to 20 have a normal mortality risk. People with body mass index up to about 25 stay pretty close to that figure. Above 25, the rate begins skyrocketing. I think there are several different reasons why a person with significant amounts of weight to lose may benefit more by seeing a bariatric physician than in seeking help through some commercial outlet. One of those is that people who have a significant amount of weight to lose generally have some physiological changes, if not clear-cut diseases present, like high blood pressure and diabetes. And these conditions need to be treated by a physician at the same time.
If you're not overweight, be thankful for your own good fortune and try to be a little more compassionate for people with a real disease who may have a heavier burden to bear.
Whether obesity is caused by biological, cultural, or personal factors doesn't really alter the dangers involved. Safely bringing weight down to a healthier level and maintaining it there requires a total weight reduction strategy and not simply the fad diet du jour.
Since the 4th grade, I've been heavy, and then I would go on a diet. I would lose all the weight, and then as soon as I lost the weight, I would start eating again, you know, and eventually I'd put it all back on, plus more, until I was miserable, and then I would go on a diet again. It's just been like a cycle.
There are safe ways to lose weight, and there are some not so safe ways to lose weight. For people with the body mass index in the overweight range above 27 or in the obese range above 30, adopting a safe program of weight loss and control may help reduce the risk of several potentially fatal diseases or conditions. But in today's world, there are almost as many diet plans as dieters. Many of them don't work. Some are unsafe.
People can certainly bring their weight down to a more reasonable level and to a level that is going to promote a fairly normal health pattern. The way to do that is fairly simple, and that is to eat a reasonable amount of nutritious food and to get an increased amount of physical activity.
I just recently went to a doctor for my weight problem because I decided that I needed to learn how to change my eating habits. The doctor put me on a low-fat diet and plenty of water, exercise. She gave me some medicine, appetite suppressant, a low dosage, but it helps, and she gives me multivitamins.
Medications can be a very helpful adjunct in the person who's trying to lose weight following a reasonable diet and exercise program. The newer drugs that are used for obesity can be broken into two basic groups. One group which is called the sympathomimetic amines. The other group, which is characterized by the drug fenfluramine, works on serotonin levels or the serotonergic system in the brain.
Information from the American Society of Bariatric Physicians indicates that weight loss can be maintained provided a person is willing to adopt lifestyle changes and, in some cases, continue treatment, therapy, and, if medically necessary, appropriate medications.
I feel I'll be able to stick on this plan because it's more like a behavioral modification plan, and I don't think of it as a diet. So hopefully I'll learn how to modify the way I eat, change my eating habits, and I'll be able to maintain my weight loss.
Hopefully the improved treatment therapies for obesity will help reduce the health risks. A greater understanding of this disease will relieve the emotional suffering inflicted by a society that wrongly translates excess fat into a character flaw.
Is there something missing in your diet? If you're like most Americans, you're probably falling short on magnesium, and you probably don't even know where to find it. The missing mineral, where is it hiding? Next on Today's Health.
Most of us have heard that vitamins and minerals are an important part of a balanced diet. But how many of us really know all the essential elements that we really do need?
It's hard to know everything there is to know about a proper diet. For instance, how many of us really know how important the mineral magnesium is?
Magnesium does many nice things for the body. For example, it is very much involved in things that have to do with energy production, how you metabolize certain types of foods, carbohydrates, proteins, you name it. It assists in building heart muscle, building skeletal muscle, and being responsible for a lot of the enzymes that regulate the way in which the body utilizes foods. There are a lot of foods that contain decent quantities of magnesium: dark green leafy vegetables, legumes, peas, nuts, yogurt, bananas, and perhaps the good news for some people is chocolate, both sweet and bitter, realizing, of course, that some people, like diabetics, have to be very careful about carbohydrate intake.
A magnesium deficiency is rare in normal adults, but there are some people with health conditions where it could occur.
Diabetics are particularly prone to magnesium deficiency. And as a matter of fact, in a consensus panel in 1993, the American Diabetes Association suggested that patients with diabetes be screened, particularly if they were at high risk. And these would be people with hypertension, people taking diuretics, people who had low potassium levels.
Well, I've been a diabetic for 30 years, and of course diabetes has its complication. The major complication is the cardiovascular situation, and I've been on the table a couple of times with angioplasties, and I've tried to take care of myself better in the last 2 years, and part of that is to take certain supplements.
Well, magnesium deficiency can cause serious problems for people with cardiovascular disease because it predisposes to abnormalities in cardiac rhythm, for example,
The nutritionist got copies of the blood tests from the doctor, and she worked up a whole paper for me, and one of them was the magnesium supplement, which she said was, will help as far as my heart is concerned, particularly with regard to the atrial fibrillations which I had been experiencing. I'm like everybody else. I'm sure most people are not aware of what magnesium does in the diet. It's really up to the consumer, to us, the patients, to keep learning and reading, particularly if we have a chronic disease such as diabetes or the cardiovascular problems that accompany it. You really have to bone up and read the newspapers and go to the library and bring these things to your doctor's attention because you can help them.
As an essential mineral, magnesium can be considered just as necessary as calcium and potassium. Are you getting enough in your diet?
How do you kill a tumor and not the patient? The answer to that question could lead to a cure for cancer. Is there a solution on the horizon? Explore an experimental treatment when we return on Today's Health.
Nothing has eluded modern researchers like finding the cure for cancer. Many times, the hope only comes in the form of an experimental treatment, especially when traditional therapies don't work.
No horror film ever made can begin to fill someone with as much fear and dread as one single X-ray revealing that a cancerous tumor has stopped responding to traditional cancer treatment. The first question that comes to mind, what can be done now?
We now have access to some investigational therapies which are potentially responsive and which can hopefully benefit that patient to live longer and have a better quality of life.
After exhausting all standard cancer treatments, a person comes face to face with their own mortality, and they must rationally contemplate alternative treatment options while preparing for the worst.
I felt like I had to find another drug to do it because I wasn't ready to give up. And I wanted to make sure that I saw my grandchildren grow up, and the only way I could do that is to find a drug that would cure it.
There is no easy way out in treating a cancerous tumor. Surgery can leave scars and remove parts of the body. Radiation and chemotherapy can also have serious side effects. In chemotherapy, the key challenge lies in delivering an effective dose of a very strong drug balanced with the body's ability to withstand it.
Here in San Antonio, we've been working also with the Matrix Pharmaceutical Company to deliver an injectable chemotherapy gel. And what this is, it's a collagen-based material that enables us to take chemotherapy agents and then directing it into a tumor. We're able to actually have the dose of chemotherapy stay in the area of the tumor that we inject. And it's been a nice option for shrinking patients' tumors. We've been able to eliminate systemic toxicity, get away with being able to deliver a fairly large dose of chemotherapy, but yet have none of the usual systemic toxicities that patients experience.
The most important component of the gel is the anti-tumor drug, which kills the cancer cells of the tumor. The gel acts as a reservoir to keep the anti-tumor drug where it belongs, in the tumor, for a prolonged period of time. Another component, the vasoconstrictor epinephrine, reduces the blood flow through the tumor area for a time, also helping to keep the anti-tumor drug in the targeted tumor area.
I feel wonderful. I drive myself. I go to the commissary. I go to the grocery store. I do anything I want to do. Don't give up. If one drug doesn't work, have them try another one. There's bound to be one out there for you somewhere, and I'm not ready to give up yet.
Being able to isolate and pinpoint tumors could help make today's cancer-killing drugs more effective with less side effects. And if we can continue to increase our odds for defeating cancers, it may make the discovery of an unresponsive tumor a little less horrifying.
What you breathe into your lungs could turn your stomach. Unseen irritants, allergens, and pathogens are hiding everywhere and can make you feel miserable. We have some tips to help you fight back and win. Next on Today's Health.
Sometimes your home sweet home can be hazardous to your health. According to the EPA, poor indoor air quality can be a far greater health risk than the air outside. Well, it may sound hard to believe, but suspended in thin air, there is a whole world of invisible predators waiting to strike.
This empty glass may look innocent enough, but the air it's holding could make an EPA official gasp. Unseen airborne allergens, irritants, and pollutants trapped inside your home can irritate your lungs, eyes, nose, and throat.
And if you suffer from allergies, they can make life miserable. The trend to make homes more airtight and energy efficient also compounds this problem because more pollutants are being trapped indoors. Everyone can be affected, especially the over 50 million people in this country who suffer from respiratory problems, like allergies, asthma, hay fever, bronchitis, and conditions that can be aggravated by harmful particles in the air.
An allergy is an exaggerated response by the immune system to a harmless element in the environment that most people would not be reacting to.
When I have an allergy attack, I usually experience runny nose, itchy eyes. They tend to redden. Sometimes they itch in the inner portion of the eye.
How many billions of potential reactants dwell in this airspace? Mold spores, dust mite allergens, bacteria, household chemicals, toxins outgassing from carpets, pet dander, and cigarette smoke top the lineup of the usual suspects fouling your air.
Airborne allergens are very small. They're usually less than 1 micron in diameter, so you're not going to see them when you look at the air.
Just to give you an idea how small a micron is, a single human hair is about 100 microns in diameter. Your upper respiratory tract does an excellent job filtering out dust and other particles that are 10 microns in size or larger. But there are still smaller particles that can get through your natural filters and aggravate you.
Air filters that capture the particles in the air too small for your respiratory system to eliminate can help reduce the number of allergens and irritants. This air purifier, developed by Honeywell, uses the EnviroCare True HEPA filtration system, which can remove over 99.97% of airborne particles smaller and larger than 0.3 microns. The HEPA, or high-energy particulate air filter, was created to extract radioactive particles from the air in the early days of atomic research.
Filtration is probably good for both irritants and allergens. It's taking suspended particles out of the air.
Nature gave us a natural defense against practically invisible particles 10 microns small. Unfortunately, irritants and allergens that can cause big problems are many times smaller. It's now up to human ingenuity to devise other ways to avoid these inflammatory pests.
Allergens can enter our system in so many ways. We inhale them, they can get into our eyes, and sometimes they can cause a reaction simply by coming in contact with our skin. Now, there's not much we can do outdoors to avoid this, but indoors we can do plenty.
Sometimes you may think the odds favor the nasty combatants that are too small to see and so tiny they avoid our natural defense system. But there are many things you can do around your home to tilt the odds back in your favor.
If we get rid of where they live, which is the carpet, the mattress, and the fabric upholstery, we're one step ahead.
My household habits to avoid some of my allergies is make sure that my house is dust-free as much as possible. Thorough cleanings, changing of the sheets.
Dirt basically is mineral content, and we are not allergic to mineral content, but we are allergic to the components of house dust.
It may turn your stomach when you realize that the dust in your house can include animal dander, fabric lint, dust mite allergens, insect parts, and even human skin scales.
Even if you don't have allergies, keeping the unappetizing components of dust out of your respiratory system still seems like a good idea. Some studies have shown that non-allergy sufferers sleep better when the air in their home is cleaner.
Air filters that capture the particles in the air can also help reduce the number of allergens and irritants you come in contact with.
The cake, it's after you've done all the basics, after you've reduced the source of the allergen, that then you bring in appliances to help.
An air purifying unit with the HEPA filter can be used in an individual room to clean the air.
It's fair to ask the question, is the child who's sneezing and blowing his nose all the time at school really learning up to his potential? And on the other hand, is the executive who goes to work every day during ragweed season with a headache, is he really performing to his maximum?
When I do get an allergy attack, it's really disruptive in my whole life. The eyes become irritating, the nose starts to drip. It's always going to take away from whatever I'm doing at the time.
They make our eyes water, they make us sneeze. But what allergens can really do is make life miserable. If we can take all the proper precautions to help reduce their presence in the air we breathe, we may sneeze a little less and enjoy life a whole lot more.
How many times do we react to a medical problem and regret that we didn't do what was necessary to prevent it in the first place? So many hazards to our health can be avoided, but it's up to us to do what's required to stay healthy. I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Join us again next time when we get right to the heart of matters affecting your life on Today's Health.
To purchase a complete written transcript or a videotaped copy of this or any edition of Today's Health, write to this address or call 1-800-877-7769.
This has been a presentation of 5 Star Productions USA, which is solely responsible for its editorial content.